So I'd like to welcome everyone to the Medical Marijuana Awareness Seminars. This seminar today is going to be Meet Surterra. I know that a lot of times we talk about medical marijuana, we talk about how it helps people, what it can do. And I think a lot of questions have always come up with who are the dispensaries, what do they do, how do they work, and especially how can they help you? And I think it's important to take some of the top dispensaries, I think in Florida, Surterra obviously is one of them, it's one of my favorites, and really learn more about them. As I mentioned, this medical marijuana awareness seminars are designed so that people can learn a little bit about medical marijuana. But our goal is if we can help one person in every one of these seminars get their life back, we've accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. That's really what we're doing. So please feel free to ask as many questions as you'd like. Down below, you'll see a little Q&A little button down here at the bottom. Please feel free to ask questions there. There is a chat button, but we tend to monitor the Q&A more than we monitor the chat. And by the way, there is no dumb questions. We're here to really answer your questions and really bring to life what the world of marijuana is about. So I'm going to kind of step aside for a second because I've got two people from Surterra that I think you're going to enjoy. So Kim, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Thank you, Mark. And thank you for this opportunity to sponsor this discussion and do this deep dive into Surterra wellness. It's definitely one of our favorite topics to discuss. And yes, my name is Kim Hawks. I am our Director of Physician Management here at Parallel, as our corporate company's named, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But I'm joined today by my dear friend and colleague, Brian David, who is our Winter Haven store manager as well. So yeah, thank you. Really happy to be here tonight.
Kim, you've been with Surterra for a long time. Is that right?
Yes, sir, I have. I've been very blessed to be a part of the Surterra Wellness team now for almost 4 years. I joined the team in early 2017, and before that, I was the external affairs function for the Office of Medical Marijuana Use in the Florida Department of Health when we first stood up the medical cannabis program here. So, yeah, in that role, that was in 2016, and that role, advocacy really became more of a calling for me in the cannabis industry than I was prepared for. So I found a home at Surterra Wellness and have been blessed with a lot of different roles over the years, everything from community engagement to government relations to now specifically physician relations.
I know you did quite a few web seminars with us when we did the medical marijuana awareness seminars. You traveled around the state with us, so I want to thank you for that.
No, absolutely. That was a really fun stretch of time there. We were beating the pavement and so many local events around Florida. It was really fantastic.
You guys 35 of those.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
So anyway, but you have a cohort in Brian David. Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Brian. I've been with Surterra for a little bit over 2 years now. I actually started as a wellness coordinator, as an associate, and worked my way up to becoming a store manager at Winter Haven, one of our most top performing stores in the company right now. So I've been around the bush a little bit and asked and talked and featured a lot of the tough questions and investigations throughout the cannabis world.
Yeah, no, you run into a lot of patients, and one of my mantras is, I got my life back. I hear that quite a bit. I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, and we're going to talk about it today. So what I think we'll do is, I know we're not trying to produce slideware, but we do have some slides that talk about Parallel, Surterra, and I'll let, if you don't mind, I'm going to put the slide deck up if that's okay with you, Kim.
Sounds great, sir.
Cool. Let's do this. We'll do a little slide sharing. It'll give us something to be able to talk about a little bit. So tell us a little bit about Parallel. Parallel and Surterra, how do you put those together?
Oh my goodness. So over the past year, well, the past couple of years, we've grown leaps and bounds, and we matured to a point where we needed to have a separate corporate entity. We found that name very fitting to be Parallel in the fact that all of our retail brands in our various markets and different states in which we have operations truly do run in parallel with each other. So that alignment is incredibly core to our business and core to our mission to deliver well-being and a better quality of life through the benefits of cannabinoids. And we do that as Surterra Wellness in Florida and in Texas. We do that as New England Treatment Access in Massachusetts. And we are the apothecary shop in Las Vegas. So that was a really wonderful time in terms of M&A for our company. Again, we grew leaps and bounds, and we are now in 5 different states now, with recently adding in Pennsylvania.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
So tell us about Surterra Wellness, which is your brand here in Florida.
So Surterra Wellness, again, it's one of my favorite topics, is just bragging about who we are. We've been pioneering well-being in the Sunshine State since 2015. We were one of the original licensees when Florida first passed its first medical cannabis laws in 2014. We were licensed in 2015 and began dispensing in 2016 to qualifying patients all over the state. So it's been a really exciting time. And if you'll move to the next slide, it's got more information about us. But generally in this presentation, y'all, I just want to pause here and say thank you for spending this hour with us. Brian and I are quite nervous, but honestly, hopefully our friendliness and our genuine desire to help folks is going to shine through. But to know us is to know the rest of our company. We've got scores of teams of highly dedicated, highly talented individuals who are committed to, again, delivering the benefits of cannabinoids, trying to help folks live better daily lives. And we do that as a vertically integrated cannabis company. So we're vertically integrated, and what that means, and we'll dive into it a little bit deeper in the next few slides. But from seed to sale, we are cultivating, producing, and dispensing medical cannabis to qualifying patients in the state of Florida. And from seed to sale, we've got very detailed tracking, and we're able to maintain that quality control on our products, on our processes. And that leads to greater product transparency, greater visibility for the qualifying patient, the end customer. And we're extraordinarily proud of the operations that we've built here. Also happily regulated by our Department of Health here in Florida. And I like to say that we wake up in the morning and we go to sleep at night with the same thought: compliance. And we lead with that foot in every direction that we venture. So internal testing, third-party testing at various stages of production is incredibly important to make sure that we've got everything in our products that we want and nothing that we could do without.
Regular tests multiple times before it actually hits our shelf. So we test ourselves when we first produce it. We also send it out to a third party accredited by the state. Then after it's finished goods, we test it again by the state before it actually hits our shelf to make sure that we are staying in that compliant range, and everything that we send out is very healthy and organic.
Yeah, I know that a lot of patients, and I'm a patient, and I'm a user of Surterra Wellness, and as you know, I'll talk more about it as we go along. But I think when you have a lifestyle medical condition, you want to be able to go to a product that you know is going to work and going to work consistently and has the quality that's there. And I know that's what Surterra represents to me. I know that your product quality, when I went through a couple of tough times where I got into medical marijuana, one of my go-to products were obviously from Surterra. And I did that because of the quality of your products.
That still gives me goosebumps, Mark. And you really have been through so much, and it means so much to us that you trust us to be able to provide that for you.
Let's talk about cultivating. So you say seed to shelf. So what does that mean?
Seed to shelf. So seed to sale. We start, everything starts with our cultivation, right? It's so important. And from the minute that that clone is clipped off the mother plant, we are controlling every aspect of cultivation: light, moisture, just about everything to optimize those growing conditions in an all natural way. So we have cultivation facilities in Hillsborough and in Polk counties. So we're cultivating right in the heart of Central Florida. And along with that, we are truly matching strain genetics from the cannabis plant with the Florida climate. So we are not trying to force the issue. It's agriculture. We're learning how best to cultivate in this environment. And that's year to year, season to season, batch to batch. We're getting better with every stride. So that includes all natural cultivation methods and nutrients as well. That also, and I would be remiss if I didn't make sure to state, we do not employ any synthetic pesticides. It's all biopest controls. And the way that my country bumpkin self understands that is we employ bugs to, eat the bugs you don't want. So, and that can be as gentle and as, as a ladybug. So we've got over 400,000 square feet of greenhouse and indoor cultivation space, where again, we're optimizing those conditions to make sure that we're coming with the best products possible for Floridians.
That helps quite a bit when you're trying to control you're trying to control the quality. And I think you also do at a lot of those facilities, you also have the production capability.
Yes. So our facilities have grown leaps and bounds, but our production facilities are really state of the art. And I would also be negligent if I forgot to mention that across all of our facilities over this past year, our CEO, Bo Wrigley, made sure that we employed the use of special air filters to make sure that we're optimizing the safety and health of our associates and customers alike. But in terms of production, we've got scores of really talented folks. Oh yeah.
Just found out a fun stat about our Florida market and our stores. We have 0 transmitted COVID within our stores in all 39 stores across the state so far.
Right. 0 workplace transmissions of COVID this whole time. Yeah, great bragging point. Yeah, absolutely.
COVID is a tough animal to corral. Congratulations. More people should be following that example.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll touch a little bit more on our COVID prevention protocols that we've got in all of our stores as well as we continue down the deck here. But production, more about our third-party test results. Brian touched on it earlier, the various stages that we test our products. And again, we're testing for things that we don't want, like heavy metals, molds, other types of contaminants. And then we're also testing for cannabinoid content and levels of major and minor cannabinoids that are present in our various products. So really exciting stuff. We provide those batch results to our customers. And oftentimes we're just learning so much about how to formulate extracted and refined oil, as well as how best to preserve and treat our flower varieties.
Yeah, I think right now in this market with everybody learning about cannabinoids, and we're really going to more of a hybrid market. We're moving away from the indica sativa thing to more of a hybrid kind of a model. I think everybody's learning a lot. And by the way, it helps you produce products that can be pinpointed to a specific lifestyle altering condition. So you're really getting the benefit of the cannabis without necessarily getting high.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got more information on that further in the deck as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So tell us about, Brian, this is your baby, man, dispensing.
The dispensing, we're 39 stores statewide. We're knowledgeable and compassionate guides. We set up our whole store in a way where we're open to welcome everybody inside, to make sure, when Kim started, the stigma was a lot tougher back then, and it was harder to have that conversation of guiding you through your wellness journey. So as you can see in the top slide, we have the island you can see behind us and behind me and Kim. We both have islands on it, just to open in the kitchen area, just to open up, welcome you in, make you feel a little bit comfortable at a table to sit down, break bread, and have a discussion about how we could guide you through your cannabis journey.
Yeah, oftentimes, Mark, and I'm sure you'll agree with us that, healthcare decisions in the home a lot of times take place at the kitchen table. And so when we, pioneered the Florida market, we approached it in a very different way from other operators, where we set up each of our stores in a bright and open way, and our consultation areas are really places like hubs of education and learning. So like Brian said, breaking down that stigma, that's a big part of what we do in our stores. And especially under Brian's leadership in the Winter Haven location, just again, one of our top performing stores. I mean, keep killing it. But in terms of how we deliver that service, it's not just how professional our guides are, it's also how fast they're becoming.
A lot of,
You know,
a lot of times when people go to dispensaries, people have this image, especially a lot of seniors, that they're walking into a head shop. They're going to see the Cheech and Chong and the tie-dye shirts. And I think when you walk into an environment that's much like your home, like you mentioned, the kitchen environment, it really is something that's really one up from a medical doctor's facility.
Absolutely. We really foster that communication again in those consultation areas. And we do have private consultation rooms. I would be remiss to forget that. So that's afforded to folks if they want it. But you also do have the ability to move through. I mean, over 90% of our stores can move you through from check-in to check-out in 15 minutes. And that's also huge when you're trying to, cut down on your time outside the home. Trying to condense your errands and things like that. And we'll get to it moving through the deck too, but at Surterra Wellness Stores, our product variety, just how much in terms of different modalities and how much inventory we have now. We've put a lot of investment in that area to where you walk in through our doors, you don't really have to go anywhere else.
I also want to touch on a retail level. As you hear the sound retail, you think, oh, just big business, but in the core of who Surterra is that we have that core belief of educating that knowledge, the being your wellness coordinator throughout your cannabis journey. The sales come with that, and we've been seeing that, especially here at Winter Haven. We preach that, and everybody that walks through that door, we make them feel welcome. We want to make sure that if what was hurting last week is not hurting last week, what can we help fix next week? And all of that is part of how Surterra started and where we're going and how we're continuing.
I know that for those who've watched the seminar series, we talk about the cannabis wheel, the different types of cannabis there are, the different medical properties. We talk about terpenes, and then obviously mixing the terpenes with the medical properties of cannabis helps you decide what the patient's what products the patient should be using. So the reason I say that is when you walk in and you see a lot of products on the shelf, don't get intimidated. The person behind the counter is educated enough that they'll look at your recommendation from your doctor, and what they'll do is they'll help you interpret what you need. They'll bring the products together for the products that you need for your particular lifestyle altering condition.
100%. 100%. Honestly, we work so hard at not just our in-house guide training, which is always improving and always expounding on itself. But we also work really hard at educating our physician community. So we're able to tackle our qualifying patients from all sides, honestly, with that product education. Absolutely.
And the reason why we have so many products on the wall also is because the two main things that you always hear where you go to, regardless if it's a doctor or a dispensary, is to start low and go slow. And also everybody's body is different. So that's where we get into that conversation of, how is this helping you? What are you looking to achieve with the products? So we can help you, create a whole treatment plan. So just because there's 30 different things on the wall doesn't mean you need to take 30 different things, but we can help you figure out which one.
Yeah, don't be intimidated by it. Look at it as something that's an advantage. That's why you're there.
Exactly.
So cool. Well, let's try to understand cannabis. How's that sound?
That sounds great. One of my favorite topics. And this is really just a portion of our conversation today where we can take a step back, and members of the audience who are not that familiar with cannabis, this is just a good bit of education to put under your belt here when we're understanding everything that Surterra Wellness can provide. So Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot. How about you take us through cannabinoids and terpenes, the basic building blocks here?
All right. Well, we got cannabinoids. There's over 70 cannabinoids already identified in the body. It's the two main ones that we talk about is THC and CBD. But there's also a third product called terpenes. A lot of people don't really know what it is. I like to simplify it and think of it as a little boost that organically plants will give a human body. You could also find terpenes in animals because it's just an organic compound, but we mostly work with the terpenes that are found in plants. For
They're all
Found in-
across the plant kingdom, even in some bugs, Mark. I don't know if you know that, but terpenes are all across the plant kingdom, to Brian's point. But just to touch back on the two major cannabinoids, THC and CBD, that have been most studied by the medical community, those two cannabinoids are really sisters to each other. And most of what the endocannabinoid system is about is balance. CBD, cannabidiol, and THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. If you ask me to say that 5 times twice, I won't be able to. But
you're doing that. I can't do it.
yeah, they really do work in collaboration with each other. It's important to have a balance of both, and understanding what they do and how they benefit the human body is going to help all of us understand what ratio of THC and CBD is best for us on a daily basis.
all of our
So,
products actually
We got a
do
question
carry
from
both
we got a
THC.
question from Carrie, and she's asking about what is the difference of terpenes. I'm going to kind of let you. We're going to dive more into terpenes themselves, aren't we?
yeah. So please don't move on from this slide. No.
Okay, they're there.
All right. Yeah. No. So terpenes do different things, and when we're thinking about the endocannabinoid system and how cannabinoids and terpenes are working together to affect that entourage effect that we normally talk about with cannabis-based medicines. Terpenes is kind of like the melody over top of the cannabinoids base, if that makes sense. And like what Brian was saying, they add different medical benefits. They have different enhancing features, like for a terpene like limonene, it's incredibly energizing. A terpene like, and limonene is found in lemons, just per point of reference. A terpene like linalool is extremely calming. It's like lavender, linalool. And so when terpenes are combined in very specific formulations, they can do specific things like inspire creativity, inspire sedation, enhance sedation. So, I can't stress enough how important terpenes can be. But like Brian said, they're found all across the plant kingdom, and terpenes are actually what differentiates various cannabis strains from each other. So the terpene profile in a sativa plant is more uplifting than the terpene profile in an indica dominant strain, which would be more sedating. But Mark, like you were saying earlier, most products really are hybrids. We're all trying to breed genetic excellence. So you find that in your end products.
And the terpenes help to bring the appropriate, let's just say, not only cannabinoids, but also the appropriate elements in place to be able to address that particular situation. And you're going to be talking more about that as we go along, but I think it's important. They work hand in hand. I think it's one of the three in this particular case.
Every one of our products actually carry both THC and CBD for that symbiotic effect. They all work together. A little bit of CBD will make the THC blossom better, and vice versa.
Cool. Well, let's talk about how it affects your system.
Yeah, so everybody is outfitted with a very individualized endocannabinoid system that was only recently discovered. And so it's been studied very heavily in other countries. We're starting to broach that research and development here in the United States. That kind of research and development in the US at this time is mostly spearheaded by cannabis companies like Parallel. We've got, by the way, just as a quick tidbit of information, we've got research and development facilities in Massachusetts, Florida, Texas, and Budapest. So, I mean, we are leaving no stone unturned, trying to figure out how we can best optimize everything that's coming out of this plant. So the endocannabinoid system, if you think about it in kind of more simplified terms, the endocannabinoid system can be understood as like the conductor in the symphony of your body's symptoms or systems, not symptoms, systems, sorry. I'm trying not to be nervous, Mark, I promise. But in the symphony of your body's systems, the endocannabinoid system is like the conductor. So it really does affect, and you've got receptors, endocannabinoid receptors all throughout your body. And you can see that synaptic relationship depicted here. But you've got cannabis receptors all over your body, except in the place, and I will mention this, except in the part of your brain that controls your cardiovascular and respiratory system. So the reason I bring that up is because it is impossible to lethally overdose on cannabis. Your heart will still pump, you will still breathe, and the same cannot be said for opiates and how that has ravaged. Yeah.
In the cannabinoid system, what they found out, and again, this was found out by the studies by Meshulam in Israel and that type of thing. This controls your appetite. It controls your memory. It controls your blood pressure, your inflammation, how immune you are to things, your sensation. This is basically how your body controls itself. And what's fascinating is your body produces endocannabinoids. When it sees a problem, it produces endocannabinoids and dispenses those to that part of your body. And all cannabis is doing, all cannabis is doing is, for people like myself that are senior citizens, we're not producing as many endocannabinoids now as we did, let's say, when I was 40 years ago.
That's
So
right.
what this is doing, this is helping me charge my batteries and being able to put that cannabis into the fatty acids so that when your body, your nervous system sees that problem, it has the resources to address it. So your body's producing its own medicine.
That's right. And I still remember that aha moment when I first realized that, oh, you mean my body produces endocannabinoids? It already produces this, when in fact what we're doing here and what we're talking about today is supplementing our endocannabinoid system's imbalance with phytocannabinoids from the cannabis plant. It's been here all along. It's really fantastic that we're able to provide this to qualifying patients all across the state of Florida. So yeah, everyone's system is incredibly different, though. Definitely do want to stress that. But that also begs to why it's so important for us to have that great product variety that we were mentioning. Might intimidate some folks, but honestly, it's there for your benefit.
Every person's metabolism and body is a little bit different, but this endocannabinoid system explains two things. One is why no one's ever died from it, because all your system is doing is taking that cannabis, producing the endocannabinoids it needs and dispensing it through your body. So your body's producing its own medicine. You're not producing, it's not a foreign substance. But the other thing that happens is the entourage effect comes into place. Your nervous system knows, your body knows where the problem is. So you may be taking cannabis for inflammation in the knee, and if you have pain in your shoulder pain goes away. And so, in other words, your brain knows you have a problem, and it can chew gum and walk at the same time. It can attack the inflammation and the pain at the same time. And that's the entourage effect. That's one of the main benefits of cannabis that natural remedies have over pharma drugs.
Absolutely. And it really speaks back to that sister relationship between THC and CBD that we touched on briefly, where 80% of pain is caused by inflammation. We know this. And CBD is the world's most powerful natural anti-inflammatory. And THC layering over top in the right amounts can really help cut that pain at the same time. And if you have depression and anxiety about your spasms or something like that in public, and maybe that's been dragging your mood down, the entourage effect with terpenes layering in over top can really help combat that depression and anxiety all at the same time. So, that's very different from traditional pharma drugs. It's definitely a one pill meets one condition, one item, check one box. And for cannabis, there's so many various boxes that we're all trying to check as individuals and that we can affect with these various products.
Yeah, it's really not complex.
Yeah, so
natural order of things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
this slide really speaks.
Facility and taking a look at the endocannabinoid system, taking a look at problems, and you've come up with products that be able to address those issues. I think we touched on that earlier.
100%. So some of our products are crafted with that end condition in mind of how to meet the needs of someone who might be suffering from, a condition like Parkinson's or a condition like, or the symptoms and effects of cancer treatment. But we approach it in a couple of different ways. And this slide really just helps folks visually understand the differences in ratio-specific cannabis medicine and strain-specific cannabis medicine. So whether we're extracting the cannabinoids and terpenes that we want, refining them and purifying that oil to a very high quality degree, or whether we're pursuing strain-based medications and formulations like that. So we're preserving the terpene profiles in those successfully cultivated strains, and we're exacting the best benefits. And again, our research and development teams are exploring so many different modalities to help with a whole array of qualifying conditions.
Carrie has asked the question. Um, it says, I also like to know what products are best for example, medical conditions such as fibromyalgia, anxiety, and inflammation. I think what happens is that you're doing so much work. You're talking about how you actually break this down to address those particular conditions. Why don't you address that a little bit?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, you know, and a lot of this comes from customer feedback, from patient feedback, physician feedback. But for fibromyalgia and anxiety, so for everything, I'm going to take a step back. For everything, we preach start low on the psychoactivity scale and go slowly up. Start low, go slow. That's what we mean when we say that. So that means starting with a CBD dominant product, dosing for a while with the guidance of your recommending physician, and working hand in hand with our guides, and then titrating up slowly. And we have a scale in a further slide that'll help visualize that for folks. But that's what I would say. That's the best recommendation that I would give. But I will say, from a lot of customer feedback, folks suffering from fibromyalgia find a great deal of success with a 1-to-1 ratioed product of CBD and THC.
Right. I think because without you mentioned fibromyalgia, anxiety, and inflammation. A lot of times, the inflammation is one of the things that trigger that actually makes fibromyalgia tougher. Same thing with knee. We talk about pain. It's the same thing. Arthritis, is, for example. So that 1-to-1 is a good place to start. And then I love the fact that you have ratioed products. You can go 1 THC to 3 or 4 CBD. You know, you can ratio that out. So you can adjust the CBD to THC ratio based on what's good for you.
Absolutely.
What's
All right.
also a good part about our products too, especially if you through a inhalation route, you could tackle different parts of your day with different parts of your system. Sometimes waking up, some parts of your body might ache more, so you might need a higher CBD just to get going. Might need to do a 1-on-1 to keep your nerves going throughout the day, and might end with a 1-to-9 to end the day. So that's the beauty of our ratio specific products and the inhalation absorption rate going, being the quickest onset with the shortest time.
Right. I'm gonna give you compliments because I went and had a left knee replacement, and I did this about almost 2.5 years ago. And one of the things that I needed to worry about was I needed on one side to worry about the inflammation, obviously from the operation, but also the pain. I mean, look, bottom line is they're cutting your leg off and putting it back together again. So I kind of had two regimes. One is for inflammation, one is for pain. And I worked with the doctors at Jewett Orthopedic here in Orlando. I worked with 5 doctors over there, and the lead doctor was Dr. Richard Constance. And what we did was I was operated on Monday, and then literally I had to take Percocet Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday I stopped taking pharma drugs. And on Wednesday, when I left the hospital, I literally went into the parking lot and took some CBD, some tincture oils, as well as had a vape pen to be able to get rid of the pain and handle the inflammation. And I have to tell you that by the time I hit the vape pen, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to work. By the time we hit from the parking garage to the street, my pen level went below a 1.
Wow.
And that was giving time for the tincture oils to work in place. And then when the tincture oils came into place, they helped with both inflammation and also with the pain. Now, obviously, over the last 2.5 years, I've adjusted. That's why I like your ratio specific products. I've been going in to adjust that. So I'm now in a situation where I can still manage my pain and my inflammation, but I'm able to do it in a way that keeps me working, keeps me sane, and it relieves my pain. I keep my pain level below a 1. And for me, that's very, very important.
That's huge. That's huge, Mark. And we've got a slide on our different modalities as well. And we'll make sure to talk more about that bell curve of relief.
Sure.
Yeah. And I just want to touch just briefly on that next slide. So whenever we're talking about products, and again, this is all part of the general medical cannabis education portion. Whenever we're talking about products, it's really important, and we preach this with everybody, to evaluate the quality of the product and the value. So this is just a quick slide for folks who are reviewing this later, to understand hopefully a little bit better, to see how important it is to know the purity of your cannabis oil. You want to make sure that you're getting the most milligrams or ounces for your dollar. And at Surterra Wellness, we're extraordinarily proud of the fact that we stay very competitive in terms of pricing in the Florida market. So more to come on that when we get to our specific product and brand section.
Sure. So tell me a little bit about products and brands.
So here it is. Here's that product and brand section. Oh my goodness. So, Parallel I was mentioning is a house of retail brands in various states of our operations. But Surterra Wellness Stores is a house of brands in and of itself. We've got so many different products. And you can see here, again, just a generic breakdown of those different modalities. So everything from flower to vaporizers to tincture oils. And you know what? When I first started with Surterra Wellness, we only had tincture oils and vaporizer pens at the time.
Yeah.
And again, leaps and bounds in terms of product innovation. And over the past year, Marc, I don't know if you know this, we've released over 200 different products, 200 different SKUs.
I didn't. Every time I walk in the store, I'm looking for my coral reefer for Jimmy Buffett, and I'm finding float. So I know you're adding a lot of products in your product line.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got specific slides on those as well. But really, touching back on our topic before of the bell curve of relief, when we're evaluating all of these different routes of administration and the different ways to find relief, it's important to understand how our individual endocannabinoid systems really jive with these intake methods. And what works for me in terms of an oral product might not work for you. But when we're talking about that bell curve of relief, it's how quickly do I want to feel better and how long do I want to feel better for? So with an inhalation method, you feel better faster. And you might need to dose in about an hour or 2 hours again. And you want to make sure that you're thinking about that convenience of dosing and what is the effect that I'm going to get from this particular type of product, where I can maybe dose with a soft gel throughout the day. And when the pain gets really bad in the knee, as you were describing, Marc, you can quickly hit a vaporizer pen and move on with your day.
And you should point out, like, for example, when I wake up in the morning, I take my tincture drops or tincture oils. That typically takes for me about 20 minutes to work, 20, 30 minutes. So what I do is I hit a vaporizer right away. And so I'm able to reduce the pain. And by the way, I have 7 herniated discs in my neck. So my pain level can be as high as a 7 or an 8 in the morning sometime. And literally within 3 minutes, I can get that down to a 1, which is huge for me. It basically makes my day, best way of putting it. But you can mix and match the vaporizers. So the tincture oils take about 20 minutes. I can use a vaporizer initially to start and then be able to get myself to a place where I can manage the pain, and also I can manage the inflammation at the same time and be able to get my work done.
Well, and we'll touch on this when we take a deeper dive into our flagship product brand, Surterra Wellness product brand. But, the same formulations that you've got in your tincture there, Marc, you can now dose with a sublingual drop, as you can see up here. Those are really easy and convenient. They're like lozenges. So you just pop that in your mouth and move on with your day. But it's the exact same. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to get away from not talking about edibles, You're on the board here.
Oh, I know. You see the sneak peek that I've got at the bottom of the slide here. Well, we've got something really exciting that we're going to be talking about in just a couple of minutes to do with edibles. Yes.
Yeah. But I think there are ways, especially like, for example, when I have a knee operation, I used your transdermal patch on my knee, and it helped quite a bit. So there's different modalities here. There's different ways of doing this that can help. And I think you guys have a pretty broad range. Now, especially, you have a broad range. The other thing I like about you, I'm going to throw a plug in here. You keep these products in stock. A lot of dispensaries you go to, they don't have. They say they're there, but they're not in stock. You guys have
Yeah.
done a very good job of
That's
keeping.
actually extraordinarily important to us, Mark. Thank you for bringing that up. That's extremely important to Surterra Wellness to make sure that when we do bring products to market, we're responsible with that. Sometimes if it's a limited time release, we'll let folks know. But other than that, we're really committed to consistency and making sure that when folks come in through our doors, we have something available for them that's going to meet their needs and help them live a better day.
And we actually, we make decisions to affect and make sure that across the state, everybody could be able to access their medicine when they need it. So for a long while, we had a limit on our whole flower to ensure that everybody was able to capture some whole flower, whichever market they were able closest to. Actually, today we did such a good job for so long that today we actually lifted that limit, and now we don't have a limit on whole flowers, and that's not going to come back because our cultivation team, our marketing team, our supply chain, and our retail team has all been working so well together to make sure that everybody is stocked and inventory is stocked across the state.
Cool. And here's your Surterra Wellness product lines. I think it's important. One of the things that Carrie asks is what's best for pain. And what I love about this is you can adjust the ratios of your products based on what you're trying to accomplish, like, for example, to address pain. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Well, we really pioneered the Florida marketplace with this brand, with the Surterra Wellness product brand, and this ratio-specific cannabis medicine, where folks were at first saying, ratio specific, what does that even mean? But specifically, we are crafting ratios of THC and CBD with targeted terpene profiles to meet the needs of specific conditions with this brand. And in the end, for folks who are new to cannabis, maybe a little cannabis naive, and not exactly sure where they should start, it's a fantastic brand that translates across every community. So we've got young folks starting out, older folks starting out, or folks who have been, dosing with cannabis for quite a while and really just want to have that more targeted way of dosing each day. The Surterra Wellness product line is wonderful for that. So like you were saying, Mark, you can mix and match in between, but this is the psychoactivity chart where you can see on the left-hand side the more CBD dominant ratios, and you can slowly titrate up in a THC weighted ratio and the various product forms that are available for those lines.
Carrie, I don't want to be giving any medical advice, but I can tell you as a user, especially when I had my knee operation, is that, and also, by the way, the herniated disc in my back and neck came from a car accident. So I kind of had a double whammy going on over the last 4 years. That by being able to go to the Zen and the relief products, by increasing the amount of THC, it's able to control the pain, but also address the inflammation. And that's what's really been important. I was using relief for quite a while because of especially right after the operation, but I've actually been able to ratchet down to Zen right now because I've been able, my body's getting healed. Let's put it that way, but I still have pain.
I hear you. No, and Zen's a really great, I would say, and Brian, stop me if you think I'm wrong here, but I would say Zen is a really great THC weighted product used during the day as a very uplifting terpene profile. So if you do have significant amounts of pain or you are treating something with higher doses of THC, that's a really uplifting formulation for sure.
And then what I love is as you go to the left, you have your high CBD products like 19 to 1. You've got your 12 to 1s. This is the Tranquils, the Calms, the Serenes. They help increase the CBD level, which really addresses the inflammation.
Absolutely. And another, we don't want to forget to mention the fact that CBD is more like a supplement than anything else. So it's important to build that in your system when you're starting out.
It's also bioavailable in your body. It's something that you need to store in your fatty cells. It's one of the first things I ever captured working at Surterra is that it's not something that will help you feel better today, but you will in a week or two using that CBD. It's just a nice little, I call it our cannabis vitamin. You take that every morning. Within a week or two, your body's naturally going to get into a better homeostasis level.
Yeah, and folks
That's important to
sometimes will say with
understand.
a CBD weighted product, they're like, I don't feel anything, I don't notice anything. And that's the opportunity I usually take to say, the fact you don't feel that pain anymore, the fact that you don't, those items that are missing, that's the CBD working for you.
Which is
Yeah,
why
this
Serene is
this
actually
one
one of
we're
our
looking
most
for.
popular daytime products. Serene is really good for anxiety. I know 2020 has given a lot of people anxiety. So you still have to show up to work. You still got to pop them to your Zoom calls. Serene is a very good product to help control that anxiety without feeling that psychoactivity.
Right, and this is, in cannabis is being holistic. It's something you take every day like a multivitamin. This isn't take 2 pills and call me in the morning. This is something where it's a continuous. Your body builds up, it builds up its natural elements to the resistance, and it helps be able to do that, to be able to control pain and be able to control inflammation, for example. So it's something that you continue to do. That's why ratcheting down from relief to Zen really helped, because I'm still increasing the amount of CBD in my body. I do take a CBD regime, which is very high in CBD. I use a lot of Calm as well, because I found that especially it helps adjust for the inflammation.
Absolutely. And when we're talking about cannabis medicine, when we're talking about any kind of medicine, you want to make sure that 5 milligrams of Tylenol today is 5 milligrams of Tylenol tomorrow. And the fact that we're able to affect that from a plant where cultivation, variation, that's just a part of the game there. We're really proud of the fact that this kind of ratio specific cannabis medicine is it affords that reliability of consistency, that every time when you dose with this, that's the feeling, that's the benefit that you're going to have.
Yeah, I have to know it works. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And especially if
So
you're doing
tell me
agriculture,
about your,
agriculture can vary differently just between the weather, with the heat, coldness, humidity, the type of water, soil that you use. So all of that can change the effects from a strain specific product, which is why the benefits of the ratio of no matter what time of year it is, what type of soil or heat is affecting that crop, you're still going to get that specific strain.
right.
100%.
So tell me about coral reefer. This is one of my favorites.
The most fun way to feel better is what Brian and I have been saying recently. I mean, honestly, when we think about the fact that Jimmy Buffett, trusted Surterra Wellness with his cannabis brand, and really wanted us to celebrate it in our Surterra Wellness stores, it really is just one of the biggest honors in my tenure here at the company. But you can see down there, he's the father of the Coral Reefer cannabis brand, and this is a really exciting brand where we've got THC weighted products as well as balanced 1-to-1 products as well. But we just came out with an infused topical balm with the Coral Reefer brand that is the bomb. And I don't know how else to describe that.
We say that in our circle all the time.
Oh, wow. Like I was experiencing some significant, I used to dance, and I was experiencing some significant pains where I've had, and I used a bit of our new infused balm, and I mean, 10 minutes maybe. But I was feeling so much better. I remember remarking to my husband, just, it's gone. Again, the pain that you don't that you don't notice. But really, it's exciting. And Brian, I'm going to defer to you to celebrate our upgrade in equipment here with the Pax AirPods.
Yeah, so now we have the Pax AirPods. As you can see, we have the disposable Surterra, the Coral Reefer vapes. Those are 300 milligrams. They're very convenient to have. There's no button to press or anything to hold down. You just inhale and go. However, sometimes 300 milligrams might not be enough. So 500 milligrams, we came up with a Pax Pod. The Pax Pod comes with a battery, a very technologically advanced battery, which is actually very universally used in all of our the industry. Actually, I was about to say the Florida market, but it's actually a national brand. So you could use it with so many different other products. So we do offer the battery in the store, but as you can see, the pod is a 500 milligram, very discreet battery.
And I have to tell you, the pod is very cool because when you put your pod inside the PAX pen, it automatically adjusts the pen for that pod. In other words, it sets it up. A lot of times when you get a battery, it isn't necessarily in sync with the cannabis you're putting in it. The temperature's wrong, the draw is wrong, things like that. This actually puts things in sync. PAX is a great product. It solves a lot of
an app for it too, so you can control its temperature. You could see where you like an inhalation. Some people like a big cloud, some people like a small cloud. It will actually change its temperature to it to produce the amount of inhalation you will like at the time. It's crazy with the technology they put into that little battery.
Yeah.
Well, it's also
Well, I
really
think
important.
this is a great product line. So tell me about Float.
Float. Yeah, so Float is one of our newest members of the family here, but we came out with this brand about a year ago, and it really just stays true to the flower. It stays true to the product. We've released our whole flower, our pre-rolls, our ground flower products, and our various concentrates, as well as even as recently full spectrum vaporizer cartridges. So, I'll let Brian brag about that a little bit more. But, when we were talking about intimidation and breaking the stigma, and maybe sometimes when you come in and there's so many products on the wall and you're trying to figure out where you fit in the world, our various forms of concentrates can be intimidating to someone who's new to cannabis. And in fact, it's really not that intimidating at all. Our concentrates are shatter, crumble, wax. That sounds like, oh gosh, I'm never gonna figure that out. But no, it's a fantastic enhancement to your dosing, to add in little bits of that and to experiment with the various strains, and say, you know what, I've really found benefit in, Granddaddy Purple Shatter before bed, where I can just do a quick dose and go to sleep right away. It's really fantastic. So again, I'll let Brian brag.
Oh, yeah. Concentrates can actually really help. I was just trying to build up on, add on to what you were just saying, can help stretch some more of your other products to last longer. So a little bit of a shatter in a bowl with flour could make that flour enhancement a lot better, so you won't use as much flour. But just overall in the Float, I just wanted to talk about the Float brand itself. I know we touched a lot about the Surterra Wellness brand for the more naive cannabis users. We have the Coral Reaper brand for the more fun cannabis users, and now we have the Float brand for some of the more experienced cannabis users.
A lot of medical marijuana is being able to use the whole plant.
Exactly.
When you use the whole plant, it's really, like, for example, for cancer, in my case, for pain and inflammation, using more of the whole plant, really, I use less medicine, I use less product, but I get better results. And I think that's what Float really can help you do.
Absolutely. And you know what? I definitely don't want to forget Keef as well. So folks here, Keef, if that's not a familiar term for people on this in this discussion, Keef is a really great full spectrum flower-based product where it's all the best parts of the plant that have collected together. It's the trichomes that have fallen off, and oftentimes, like, if I'm going to start out with a ground flower product, I get a lot of bang for my buck, and I'm going to feel considerably better with this terpene profile here with this strain. I'd like to also add in the benefits of those lipids and trichomes and things like that that are found in Keef. And you can just take one of our pods there and shake it up in your ground flower, and you've enhanced your wellness in that direction. So it's different products where you can mix and match, like we were talking about before. So yeah, Brian, that's a great point. That we really, when we came out with the Float brand, it just took off. So
it really helps again with the whole that whole body wellness. So
Okay, so this is the sneak
Here.
preview. This is the sneak preview for folks joining us this evening live. Tomorrow, Surterra Wellness is coming out with our super launch of 5 different edibles products. One is sublingual, but the others are our first edible products in Florida. And we've been working really, really hard on these formulations. So I'm really, really excited. And it's, and forgive me, Brian, but please jump in. I'm just so excited to talk about this now. So we're coming out with the Heights brand. And with the Heights brand, and you can see that down below, we've got new sublingual tablets, which are a sweet mint flavor. So those are akin to mints, and they're going to be presented in those really well packaged. I love the packaging of these tins, and child-proof, tamper-proof packaging for these sublingual products, and that price point is going to be at $30 for that item. And then dark chocolate. So we're coming out with dark chocolate first, milk chocolates to come, but the dark chocolate is just a wonderful recipe that I can't wait for folks to try. And when we talk about edibles and cannabis medicine, oftentimes folks will say, how is chocolate medicine? But we're breaking stigma. And as we continue to break that stigma down, oftentimes we can help folks with a product that's, familiar to them. So maybe Barbara won't try a tincture, but she knows chocolate. And that's a way for her to quickly dose and feel better throughout the day. So that chocolate.
My 90-year-old mother was always worried about when she got into medical cannabis to address her cancer and to address some of her fibromyalgia. We put her on drops and capsules. And then we got her on she lives in California. So we put her on some edibles, and she's now the edible queen. Because it's easier for her. She just finds it very easy to middle of the day or end of the day to grab a piece of chocolate or a gummy bear or something like that. Now that's the good news. The bad news is I have a mother who's an Italian Portuguese mother that has the patience of a gnat. And so what I had to do is I had to teach her that when you say you take a half of a little piece of that little brick of that chocolate bar, take just half of those little pieces, wait 20 minutes or 30 minutes before you take another one. Yeah. That's the one thing you got to caution people on.
Yeah. So as we're talking about responsibly bringing products to market, another part of our rigorous in-house training is to encourage that responsible microdosing. Mm-hmm. And you'll see on these products, we've got the universal THC symbol marked on every serving portion. So we've got that symbol marked on the chocolate bars. We're encouraging microdosing of that with those clearly demarcated lines there. And then it's going to be pretty easy to, and hopefully easy to stop yourself, because the fruit chews I've heard are really fantastic too. But easy to dose with our new Coral Reefer fruit chews that we're coming out with tomorrow. So those are going to be in tangerine, pineapple, and mixed berry flavors.
Now we have to point out something. State of Florida, even though they're tangerine, pineapple, or whatever, they're all the same color.
Oh, all the same.
They'll be the same color, so be careful. They don't have colors.
Great call out.
All the packaging are actually resealable and childproof. So I really advise to repackage once you microdose. So you could make sure you don't mix up your chocolate with other chocolate or the different flavors, because they're, like as you stated, Mark, they're not different colors.
Yeah, the little gummies are all the same color, so don't go mixing them. Know when you mix them and match them where you're putting them. That type of thing.
I'm kind of excited to mix and match the tangerine and pineapple myself, but to each their own. But we're really excited about this, and you'll see, as you can see here, the competitive pricing that we've got for these products. And yeah, to your point about no colors, the state of Florida is very clear, and again, compliance is top of mind for us at Surterra Wellness. That we are not going to encourage this being marketed to children whatsoever. But we are terribly excited to now offer edibles to our shelves.
Don't worry about the monolith colors. The flavor and the reaction still there. I just think edibles are great. I know a lot of people that I work with, not just here in Florida, but mainly outside of the state of Florida. Their edibles are really part of their dosing regime.
Absolutely. And and edibles too, when we are consuming cannabis orally, we're converting delta 9 THC into 11 hydroxy THC.
Right.
And that is a different molecule in and of itself that affects our endocannabinoid system differently. So it could be described as more of a body feel. And with folks with chronic pain, and you just really want to go hiking and you want to push through that chronic pain, edibles is a fantastic option. We've got an associate part of our Massachusetts team, near and dear to our hearts, and he's a peak bagger. He goes and just climbs so many mountains, so many cliffs, and edibles is his favorite way to dose.
Right.
So we've all got personal stories like that, and testimonies of how it
But
works.
there are places where vaping may not work, so edibles come into play.
Oh, 100%. And in Florida, in the state of Florida, public consumption is not allowed. So again, keeping that top of mind. And when we're exploring cannabis products, it's convenience of dose, and it's duration of relief and onset of relief.
Cool. Let's
Yeah.
move on to, you have a whole center, you have a whole area where you can help people.
Yes. So, I mean, none of this would be possible without being able to educate our recommending physicians on our various products and brands, so that we can make sure that every customer who's exploring cannabis can do so with all the knowledge at hand. So, over this past year, we've really revamped how we are engaging with our physician community, and knowing the types of resources and information they're looking for. We've created this new microsite. It's not password protected, so anybody can absolutely go to surterra.com/provider and pour through the education. The full microsite will be finished by the end of this year. And so we're excited to be able to offer even more resources than are currently there. But there's a digital asset library with all of our educational materials. Folks can sign up for our monthly newsletters to physicians to stay up to date on the latest from Surterra Wellness here in Florida, all the way to our product portfolio section, where physicians and staff can really do a good deep dive into what it is that we're offering, and how we're offering it.
Hold on, I'm getting myself, hold on. I'm making a mistake here. Now,
You're great.
you have a great library that people can look at. Carrie was asking a question. She was mentioning that she was saying she has asthma, so obviously inhalation doesn't make sense. And so she wanted to know if she can order these products online, and is there a delivery fee?
So when we get to the next slide, it's really where the rubber meets the road when it comes to dispensing and how we deliver those services. So I'll let Brian take the lead here.
So I'm gonna take this over because it's more of my bread and butter. But Carrie, unfortunately, we do not offer delivery. Thank you for your question. This is a really great segue. But to answer your inhalation question, we do offer various different types of products, as we stated in the past. You can order online. For first and second time patients, they get a discount. So first time you get 15%, the second time you get 20%. For any veterans out there, you get 15% after that. Every time after that is captured into your profile, and you will never have to worry about it again. But if you do want to make an order, I always suggest for your first or second time to call our customer care. We'll touch more about our telemedicine service on the next slide, but any questions you may have, our customer care or our telemedicine services can answer that question for you. Customer care do have access to all of our stores' inventory, so you can see which store has what and which products, and they can build a treatment plan for you. You can see all of our stores. Ours is actually just got updated. I'm sorry, Kim, I forgot to tell you that. So Monday through Saturday, we are actually open from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And Sunday, we are open from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. now.
That's awesome.
So we're extending our hours now to allow more people to be able to access their medicine, before and after work.
And you don't deliver, but you can get in-store pickup. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So we do offer the in-store pickup, as Kim mentioned before. Our transaction time is anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes. So the day in the life in Surterra, you walk in, we'll have a smiling guest in the front ready to greet you. We'll welcome you in. We'll have you check in and ask you if you have any questions. If you do have any questions, we'll be more than happy to take you aside and answer any questions, go through our product wall, and have a detailed consultation with you. If not, you could just go ahead and tell us what you want. We'll put that order in. You will go to our checkout. Our checkout will check you out. We cover all of the coronavirus procedures. We wear gloves, masks. We have plexiglass up to protect both you and ourselves to make sure that our store is compliant in every aspect. As again, we stated in the beginning. We also do have 6 stores that offer curbside, not curbside. All of our stores offer curbside, but 6 stores in particular offer a drive-through where you could order online before and then drive up. Those stores are Port St. Lucie, Boynton Beach, Merritt Island, Brooksville, Palm Coast, and I will have to say the best for last, Winter Haven. Just drive right up. And we also just started a new prepaid service that you could work with through CanPay. CanPay is a free check-in account way of paying. In the state of Florida, the only way you can pay is either with cash or CanPay. Surterra has done a very good job throughout the times of trying to find other credit and debit ways of payment, but for the most part, it will always be cash and CanPay. And that way you can do prepay, you can show up to our store, show us your ID, we'll get you going in and out in less than a minute. If not, it will be no longer than 5 to 10 minutes.
There you go. So let's talk about, you're talking about your consultation, because I think that's really important. A lot of people are, what do you have? How does it help me? Who can I talk to?
Yeah, look, I mean, 2020, it's no surprise to anyone part of this discussion this evening that 2020 has been a mixed bag of crud for a lot of folks and for a lot of different reasons. So we are constantly innovating how we are delivering not just our products, but also our services. And for that consultation, if folks aren't wanting to spend that much time in the store and spend that much time away from their homes and families, then we will meet them where they are. We'll meet them on their couch. We'll meet them at their dining room table. And with this HIPAA compliant platform, I have to stress that we are protecting privacy and patient information at every corner, at every turn. You can now ask one of our guides any question under the sun and have that virtual consultation from the comfort of your own home. And, you know, it really begs to the fact that cannabis throughout this entire pandemic and this crisis, we've been recognized as an essential service. And that has been incredibly pivotal for the industry, for, you know, our communities. You know, after Election Day, cannabis was really the main victor Election Day. And 5 different states gained access to cannabis in some form or fashion. 16 million Americans gained access to cannabis after this last election. So it's really something where we're taking the health and safety of our associates and our customers incredibly seriously. And we're excited to offer this service full time.
One of the things I want to point out, I know when I first got involved in cannabis, and even now, you have questions, ask the questions. There is no dumb questions. Those experts are there because we're not experts in cannabis, meaning we as patients, we're looking for answers. And we're going to people that have spent a lot of time at least trying to research the answers. So please feel free to avail yourself of that particular service. It'll make your life, you'll take a lot of stress out of what you're doing, and it'll take a lot of stress out of coming out and figuring out the right dosing routines and the right regime for you to address your situation.
Absolutely.
I would say also, Mark, those questions on the ground floor actually helps us help more people in the future. Those questions kind of get the wheel turning for us. Again, this industry is so brand new. There's not that much research that we have out there. So just bringing in those testimonies, you know, from what you told us with some of the products that you work with, all of that in combination with other testimonies that other guides and other associates have had or dealt with, that brings in a full consultation and brings our industry further along.
Absolutely.
And no question is too dumb, right?
Yeah.
And that really speaks to just how exciting it is to have gone through this period of growth that we have at Surterra Wellness parallel now. So none of this would be possible without really fantastic leadership. And we've got that by way of our CEO and chairman at Parallel, Bo Wrigley, leading the way. And we're taking those best practices where we've, again, pioneered the markets in Florida and in Massachusetts and other areas. And we're translating those best practices across state lines and really bringing the cannabis industry forward. This is also in large part due to leadership of Liz Conway, our president of Florida operations. She's really brought our Florida operations really up to snuff over this past year, where we've been making incredible investments to point to what Brian was stating earlier in our cultivation and production, to make sure that as we are an essential service, we are keeping our shelves completely stocked and our stores completely clean and preventing the spread of COVID any further. So I'm saying this in a little bit of a bittersweet tone because it was just announced that we're now sending Liz to our newest market in Pennsylvania, where she's going to be leading the way and leading our operations in that new market. So we're really sad to see her go, but that's going to be incredibly exciting, Mark, because when we won that license, we won the ability to fund to the tune of $3 million research and development into the medical benefits of cannabis for sickle cell disease and its symptoms. So we've got that partnership with the University of Pittsburgh up there, and she's going to be spearheading those efforts for us.
I think it's important to point out, a lot of people, when they think of dispensaries, they think, well, and again, it goes back to the debunking a lot of the myths. There's these potheads that run these shops. I have found, being in this industry over 6 years, they're very solid business professionals. These people are solid business professionals, and they have one thing in mind, and that is to help their patients. They're only going to exist as a company if you get better.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's they're not playing games. This isn't something that's on the side. This is the real deal.
Well, when folks want to know who we are at Parallel, they want to know who we are in our various states of operation, like Surterra Wellness in Florida. We are an incredibly diverse, really supportive group of compassionate folks, and we really just want to help people live better lives through the benefits of cannabinoids. And when we're talking about bringing that into other markets, you have to have folks who know what they're doing. And so we're really blessed to have that leadership for sure. But that really kind of does wrap it up. That's our last slide there. Everything that we've touched on, and I have to stop and thank everybody for hanging in this hour with us. It's just so important that Brian and I have this opportunity to show a little bit of our family, of our operations here. We're in every corner of the state of Florida. Again, 39 locations, but you can reach us anytime at Surterra.com.
Well, look, first of all, I want to thank everybody for showing up today, and especially for the questions. It's important to understand. I know a lot of people were worried about the quality of the products, especially when you hear about the vape pen war, things that went on last year and that type of thing. You go to a dispensary like Surterra, you have quality built in from the ground up, literally from the plants all the way to the people that are behind the counter. And I think that's important. I have used Surterra for, like I say, with my knee operation. I worked with Drew Orthopedic, and it really did. It was actually, I was able to control my pain better using Surterra products in post-surgical knee operations than people that were taking Percocet, flatly. There's just no question about it. In fact, I was with a control group of 5 people. 4 of them were using pharma drugs. I was using cannabis, and literally by the end of the second month, 3 of the 4 of them were using, the other people were using medical marijuana, because the pharma drugs had side effects that just weren't worth the pain. It wasn't there. And I had no side effects. I mean, I shouldn't say I had no side effects. I was able to conduct my life, run my business, and get well without all the constipation and the getting high and that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and probably the side effects that you did experience, Mark, were wanted, right? Like, increased appetite, right. Increased sleep. Yeah.
Do I have to admit, throughout my tenure with Surterra, I could easily say that over 3 figures amount of people have told me that they threw away their medicine cabinet by using our products.
Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely.
Well, I use the term. Go ahead.
Oh, there was another question I wanted to make sure that we answered. Carrie asked what stores are going to have our new edibles tomorrow. Carrie, all of them. Again,
Except for
we're
the
so
Tampa
excited.
Fowler location.
Oh, yes, the Tampa Fowler location, but you know, all of them, all the rest, the other 38, yes, we will have statewide distribution of those products tomorrow. And again, it's you guys are the first audience to really get that. Everyone's going to find out tomorrow like it's Christmas Day. But we get to enjoy the eve together.
I
It's
do
really
want to say though, because I kind of had to be the bearer of bad news with the Tampa Fowler location. If you are in the Tampa location, there is a Brandon and South Tampa location also that's conveniently 20 minutes away that will offer the edibles. So you're
absolutely. Just go to Surterra.com and you can enter in your zip code and find a store.
I know that I've been in this market now, I've been doing a number of seminars and webinars, and I use the term, I got my life back. And that was because I heard that from people who attended these webinars. People came up and told us that. In fact, we have a website called I Got My Life Back, igmlb.com, just for that particular purpose. It really does help you do that. And it really does help people really become, I have to say, get back into your life, whether you're young, whether you're old, you know, it's whether you're 20 or 70 or in between, it really helps. So I want to, first of all, thank everyone who's tuned in for hanging in there with us. And more importantly, Surterra, Kim and David, this is great. I mean, I learned a lot about what you all do.
Well, you know, thank you again for the opportunity to sponsor tonight and spend this time with you this evening. Again, it's just so important that you know where your medicine comes from and who's working hard to provide it for you. So, you know, when you walk into our stores, you'll see Brian's face. I'm more of the creature behind the curtain, but thank you so much for the opportunity to sponsor tonight.
Not a problem.
Thank you,
And by the
Marc.
way, I want to mention, we're going to be doing, you and I, Kim, we're going to do a webinar next week on
Yes, sir.
PTS.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're going to take a deep dive into PTSD and how medical cannabis can help with that.
And I think we're doing that one on Tuesday, not on Wednesday, right?
Correct.
Right, because Wednesday is the night before Thanksgiving, but we're doing it on Tuesday. And please tune in for that PTS webinar. I think it's going to be very, very important. It's again, it's a medical condition. It's not a dispensary, but it's something that I think you'll learn an awful lot about. And Kim, I look forward to it. And I'll get you out all the information shortly.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for coming. And thanks everyone for showing up tonight. And a special shout out to Lee and Deja. As always, you've helped us quite a bit. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Have a great night, guys.
You too.